He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
And welcome back to another episode of Ministry of Truth. I am number one host on this show, and I will always be the number one host on this show until the show is canceled, which, if it gets canceled, I don't give a fuck, because that means I canceled it. But, since it's been a couple days and, nobody's here because this is not a drama panel, we're going to get in a few things, street interviews, and a little brief from Mr. Ron Paul himself with the state of World War III and what we may or may not have coming in our future. But before we get into that, can't remember if it's a song first or yes. So it's the song first. Hopefully this plays all the way through, and this is for all you pieces of shit. There you go. That's for all you pieces of shit out there. You know who you are, whether I like you or not. Which, if I'm calling you a piece of shit, probably don't like you. Yeah, that's it. But in a world of I'm leaving and I'm offended, well, I'm telling you today, fuck you. And this world's a pretty fucked up world. Stop pretending like it's fucking all peaches and fucking unicorns. Sorry, this is some good shit. Blue Thunderfuck. Well, I'm trying to catch my breath. Let's get some motivation through, because God knows people need motivation, and a lot of weak-willed people tend to flock together, and it takes a wolf, a lone wolf, a real lone wolf, to get people to wake up and realize their inner potential and that they don't fucking need people.
I was raised in darkness. It molded me, shaped me, and forged me into an unyielding force. In the blackest nights, where hope seems a distant star and despair lurks at every corner, I found my true self. The darkness was not my enemy. It was my teacher. It whispered secrets of resilience, grit, and unwavering determination. When others cowered and sought the comfort of light, I embraced the abyss and allowed it to become my crucible. Every challenge, every defeat, every moment of solitude in that endless night honed my spirit. I learned to navigate without sight,
Figure out who the fuck
to trust
you are,
in my instincts,
nothing else matters.
and to find strength in the silence. In the absence of light, I discovered that true vision comes from within. The darkness taught me to fight not for fleeting victories, but for lasting triumphs carved from the bedrock of perseverance. Some may see the darkness as a place of fear, a realm of the unknown, but I see it as a realm of infinite possibilities.
Ooh, I use realm.
It is in the darkness that stars are born, that legends are forged, that the faint of heart are separated from the truly relentless. I stand before you, not as a survivor of the dark, but as its conqueror. It did not break me, it built me. So, when life casts its darkest shadows upon you, do not flinch, do not waver. Embrace it, let it shape you, let it mold you. Know that within that darkness lies the potential for unparalleled strength. Rise, not in spite of the darkness, but because of it. Let it be your anvil and you, the sword forged in its depths. Remember, the night is darkest before the dawn. But for those of us who were raised in darkness, but from embracing them. There will be times ahead where the darkness will seem all-encompassing, where it will feel as if the weight of the world is pressing down upon you. In those moments, remember this. You were made for this. The shadows that once threatened to consume you are now your allies. They remind you of your strength, your resilience, your unbreakable spirit. When others falter and lose their way, you will rise. When the path forward is obscured and treacherous, you will find your footing. The darkness has given you a map, etched in the experiences of your past, guiding you with an unerring sense of purpose and direction. You're not alone in this journey. We are a brotherhood, bound by the trials we have endured and the strength we have gained. Together, we are a formidable force, a beacon in the night, showing the way for those who have yet to find their strength. So, let us not just endure the darkness, let us thrive in it. Let us be the architects of our own destiny, carving out a future that is not dictated by fear or doubt, but by courage and conviction. The world will know our names, not for the darkness that sought to break us, but for the light that we brought forth from within it. We are the children of the night, the ones who walk confidently in the shadows. We are the embodiment of resilience, the very definition of strength. And as long as we draw breath, we will continue to rise, continue to fight, and continue to shine.
Some pretty good motivation, well, in my opinion. I'd like to think that what I've experienced helped mold me into the person I am, and I use that. I use that to fuel who I am right now. I don't use it to like sit back and dwell on it. And every once in a while, I get that sorrow, but I don't let it consume me. I don't let it be my everyday personality, I guess. People always want to dwell in the dark, as as he would say. I wouldn't say he dwelled in the dark, but when you sit there in that dark and you just continue to be scared and scared and scared, and you run away, you run towards the light, as he says, you're never gonna learn. You're never gonna experience life. You're just gonna be a coward little bitch your entire life. Um, but like I said, the darkness, it should be what shapes you, what molds you into the person you become every single fucking day. Uh, it's not about being built different. It's about building yourself. And I've gone through a lot of adversity, and I've always come through. Hence, my ability to believe I may be a demigod, but maybe that's just me coping, and that's my way of, I don't know, my reality. But when I've been through so much and I've fought through adversity and injuries and all that shit, and I'm still a formidable opponent for most people because I won't quit. I'd much rather die. And I love to fight for what I love. Don't get me wrong, I may be conflict, anti war, but that doesn't mean I won't. And that's what they warn you about. It's the quiet warriors that need to worry about the most. Okay, maybe I'm not quiet, maybe I talk a lot, but I don't talk about that shit. I don't talk about what I can do and what I have done, you know, because there's no need. I'm me, and that's it. You either like me, or you're like the 10 other people in the past 2 weeks. You can unsubscribe from me. I really don't fucking care. I'm gonna be me, and I'm gonna tell fuck you, everybody. And I'm legit. I'm not drunk. I'm saying it. So you know, it's true. Oh, it's damn true. Anyway, let's get to the first video. I believe it's Stupid People. Yeah, it's Stupid
How much
People.
time would you like to see?
James Klug talking with stupid people, and you already know I'm probably gonna make some fucking very unpolitically correct comments because, well, fuck you. You know, certain kind of people in this world, yeah, they fucking love to make fun of people, humor, make fun of stupid people, and then the other person you cry about it, and you want to be a SJW. Fucking hate you, SJWs.
Donald Trump
dub.
spend in
SJW.
prison for his crime? What would you like to see?
All of his life.
All of his life.
That's I just respect the rule of law, and for you guys to be out here celebrating a felon.
We're all fatigued. We're overloaded. We're being bombarded with nonstop attacks on America.
Do you think that he was
Speaking of that, yes. Show you I got a new addition to my wall of fame. Hold on, that's pointing right at my penis. Camera on. Oh yeah, look at that baby. Look at that baby. Oh yeah. Good old Don, right? It's not a book. Joe and the hoe gotta go. Oh, get old 47. I mean 45. So you know what? I'm not one of those bitch ass libertarians that are like, oh, he's so bad, he's so evil, he thought for more. Yes, everybody's got their good and bad. But, you know, for a capitalist, free market, political party, some of you libertarians are fucking bullshit. You took libertarian to mean, oh, I can say whatever I want, do what I want because I can fit on both sides of the fences. That means you don't believe in shit, you fucking cowards. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know where I'm going with all this. It's a day of rage, right? No, I'm just tired of fucking stupid people. All around this fucking country, this internet, even this town.
targeted? Do you think it was a biased trial against him?
No.
What's going on, everyone? James Klug here. Donald Trump was officially convicted on 34 felony counts for the Stormy Daniels hush money case. So what do people think about this, and will it impact their
cool
decision
story,
for this
though.
year's
When I got
presidential
this,
election?
When I bought the hat and the shirt, hold on. When I got the hat and the shirt, they're like, "Oh, you're a veteran?" I'm like, sure, yeah." It's like, "Well, you either get a free flag, a free yard sign, a free magnet, or something." And I'm like, "No shit." So every time I go to that Trump store, I get something for free.
Today we're going to find out. Let's go talk to some people. Huge shout out to our friends over at Allegiance Gold for sponsoring this video.
Lock him up!
Excuse me, sir.
Lock him up!
Sir, can I get your thoughts on the conviction?
Huh?
Can I get your thoughts on the conviction?
I trust the jury.
Right.
They heard the facts. I didn't hear all of them.
Oh,
They
okay.
had a time to deliberate, and they came to a verdict.
Your initial thoughts on Donald Trump
You know,
getting convicted,
I'm
the first in America.
realizing a lot of people just, oh yeah, he was found guilty on 34 charges. But a lot of people don't know the stipulations behind those 34 charges, which actually came from one or two books. So it's the same fucking crime, just 34 times. Kind of weird, right? Just to make it, the optics make it look bad, but I don't know what I'm talking about. But all they know is he was convicted. They don't know any details, any of the fucking testimonies, which definitely would have ruined the case in most people's cases. Because the defense, the prosecutors brought trash for witnesses. Not to mention the jury pool is biased.
In history.
Well, it's about time.
This is in a court of law, so I'm sure the facts were presented and the jury decided.
The law did its thing, acquitted or convicted. It is what it is. Let's see what happens next.
Yeah, the evidence showed that he was guilty, but,
Evidence didn't show he was guilty.
This is how I view it. If he doesn't actually get convicted and nothing actually happens, this is only going to help him. It's only going to feed into the idea that he's being persecuted, which absolutely, I can understand the argument for why that is.
Give me your thoughts on Donald Trump getting convicted.
Oh, that was bullshit. Am I allowed to say bullshit?
Yes.
Come on. You kidding me? A shame. It's a stain on America, a stain on our legal system, and on the Democratic Party.
You guys see it as more targeting Donald Trump than anything?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why don't they start doing this to the Clintons? Why don't they start doing this to all the other?
I wish.
All the way back to Roosevelt.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it
Roosevelt's
said that
dead.
he has more felonies now than Al Capone. It's like,
That's correct.
This is targeted.
Everything is political.
Political.
I think they're trying to assassinate him.
Political
shit.
assassination.
So that he
Because
won't
I've
become
heard that
president.
from a few different commentators.
There you go.
So we're going to vote even more for him.
Obviously, it's
What's up,
very
Yeti?
unfortunate and a disgrace to this country.
So you think it's a bad thing?
Yeah.
Do you see it as a biased trial against Donald Trump?
Yes.
Has this impacted your
Decision,
willingness
no.
or decision or anything to vote for Donald Trump?
No, not still going to vote Trump.
We have July. We have the judge that will be sentencing
Must not be
Donald
black.
Trump. If he gives Donald Trump jail time, would you guys still vote for Donald Trump even if he was in jail?
Yes.
Yeah, probably. 100%.
Would you still vote for Donald
Yes.
Trump if he was in jail?
Nothing's going to change my mind.
100%.
Which is
No,
weird,
I'll still vote for him. Of course.
because I've never wanted to vote for Trump. Never. Until recently. And then what made it even worse, as we saw the government being used the wrong way, and now I'm 100% sure I want this guy to become the president. It's weird. Never ever would I thought I would vote for Trump.
Of course, yeah.
Of course. I mean, it's got to be obvious. You'd have to be blind or like mentally disabled not to see what's happening here.
How much time would you like to see Donald Trump spend in prison for his crime? What would you like to see?
All of his life.
All of his life.
Where the fuck you
For you
from,
to
bro?
celebrate a guy
Really
who
quick,
just
really
got
quick.
convicted.
Do you mind if I ask you? A lot of
Oh my
people are seeing
God.
this as a biased trial against Donald Trump.
Of course.
Hey, you guys want to hear something funny? So let's talk about convicted felons that people are, worshiping, so to speak. Let me bring up a name from 4 years ago. We will call him, I don't know, George Floyd.
They do because they love Trump.
Yeah, I don't know all the facts, but I don't think it was biased per se. I mean, you can say that about any trial and whatever.
What do you think about that?
It's a lot of rubbish.
From the beginning, he lied that I never had sex with that gal, but he did. I think they should have brought
That
out.
actually wasn't a part of the trial. This was a falsification of business records. This is a records error trial, not a did you have sex with Stormy Daniels trial.
No, but he always denied it.
Yeah, but that's separate. That's separate from the case,
I
right?
understand. I just meant.
I just want to make sure I'm clarifying for the viewers. Do you think that he was targeted? Do you think it was a biased trial against him?
No.
The reasons why people are bringing up kind of a biased trial. You have CNN's top legal analyst talking about this trial because there's a couple areas that was a little bit weird. You have the district attorney that ran on getting Donald Trump. Do you see that as a bias?
No.
He ran on getting Donald Trump. When it
Must
comes
be
to
bad.
telling people, convincing people
now
that
you're going down a different road. Thank you.
do you mind giving people a message that would convince them that it's not biased against Trump?
Oh, it was one of those little California things.
All right, everyone, let's take a few moments to talk about today's. It's really no struggling the when we all know there is a reason also 5 stars with
I had to take out a loan to
door.
fill up
And
my
right,
car.
doc protect with. Let's get back.
District Attorney Alvin Bragg, he ran on getting Donald Trump. That was a big thing. Do you see that as being biased against Donald Trump, who he is prosecuting?
But again, I'm trying to be objective here, but you always have your biases, but you can't do anything about it.
He ran on getting Donald Trump.
Okay, but as a district attorney, you either write I'm fighting for crime, tough on crime, or you're saying that you're going to get this guy. I don't know.
And then you have the judge that actually donated to Joe Biden, donated money to Joe Biden, and his daughter raised money off the trial. What would your message be to show people that that is not biased against Donald Trump? That is not a biased group against Donald Trump.
It's nothing to do with it. It's nothing to do with it.
You have a district attorney that downgraded 60% of felonies in 2023, okay, and used a falsifications of business records charge, which is a misdemeanor, but connected it to campaign finance law to bump it up to a felony. Do you think that that is suspicious? That a more soft on crime DA actually
Per se.
upgraded Trump's charge in this case?
Yeah, possible. I think that there was enough evidence to up it to the felony with the election thing, because the way that was whole set up between, having the $435,000, which was payments, $30,000 each of payment, and then the way they did it where Trump wrote the check and FedExed it back and forth between everybody.
What the fuck?
But if it was for the election, right? They couldn't have spent that money. They couldn't have spent election money on that anyways. They would have been fined as well, because that would have been
I voted for Trump, but he's very vindictive, and I don't like that.
I do want to know your thoughts about people that are supporting this, that are celebrating this, that are saying it's a great thing that Donald Trump was convicted. What do you think?
They're misguided. They haven't
Well-
looked at everything.
I'll admit, I did say it's a good thing Trump was convicted, but not in the way most people would say. I was happy because I know that automatically gives him the White House.
You got to look at the whole picture.
They got TDS, man.
Oh, God. It's just sad.
I mean, on one side I'd say watch out, because if they want to play by dirty rules, they're going to get that back eventually.
I just respect the rule of law, and for you guys to be out here
Okay,
celebrating a
respect the rule of
felon,
law.
Do you think that this
So
is
Hunter Biden lied on federal gun forms. He lied on them. But they're going to give him a slap on the wrist. For now.
good or bad for our democracy?
In general, respecting the courts and the rule of law is really good for democracy.
That's a bad thing for the country.
What about jailing the political
None of you
frontrunner
were
against
there.
Joe
None of
Biden?
you sat in on the jury, yet they all did the same thing. So why is it that it's unfair?
You only
I
needed
don't
four
get
for
it.
majority.
CNN's top legal analyst wrote this in an article a couple days ago, and it says the judge, right, Judge Merchan, gave money in plain violation of a rule prohibiting New York judges from making political donations of any kind. I know we touched on this, to a pro-Biden, anti-Trump political operation,
They'll probably be like,
including
well,
funds
sure, you only
that the
cleared
judge
$5.
earmarked for, quote, resisting the Republican Party and Donald Trump's radical right-wing legacy. And that seems to maybe stand out more so than anything else.
I forgot that that was a violation of the New York City law. Just,
It seems slightly problematic, I would say.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you think that this is going to positively or negatively impact Donald Trump for the election this year?
Well, I think it depends on what the sentencing is.
Of course it's
All around the
positive.
militia.
People know what's up. It's just more affirmation that the whole damn
Mr.
system
Dora, faggot.
is guilty as hell.
When the verdict came in, I was nervous it was going to be negative, but then watching all of my friends' reactions, watching, the public
Is her nose
reaction,
clogged?
I think the Democrats blew it. I think it's going to do nothing but help him.
From what I've read, it's been a positive impact.
Positive impact, right.
Dude
and from what's
he's
coming
got a
out from the
six-pack
world leaders,
and a keg.
it's kind of a farce for the U.S. government.
So you mean they see it as more of a farce?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, I think it'll totally help him. Are you kidding? If nothing actually happens, it's going to feed into his own narrative that he's being persecuted by the media.
All right, dude,
Most
go save that
politicians, they
nasty-ass
do feel that
fish
way as well. Depends on from either the left or the right. Obviously, Trump's on the right side. So his narrative is that the left would be potentially persecuting him for things that aren't necessarily like real threats to national
man.
security.
This has obviously broken massive precedent. I mean, I don't even know how much I can, I have to emphasize that because it's so massive. Do you see this as backfiring on the Democrats?
Definitely. I think I saw where the following day, or maybe the same day that he was
34 million.
convicted or indicted,
Convicted.
convicted. $53 million was donated to his campaign. I think this
34
is
actually.
definitely backfiring against them.
Do you think that this is going to backfire on Democrats?
It already has.
I
You
sure
know
hope
what?
So. They,
With this recession, this guy, if Trump gets back in the office, can actually buy a shirt with sleeves.
This is going to backfire on Democrats.
It already has.
I sure hope so. They're taking the country the wrong direction, I think. I think Trump will do the country good. Don't like the man, like his politics.
I mean, look, the African American vote's going up, Hispanic vote's going up, Asian vote's going up. You would never seen this.
How would you
10
know
years
the
ago,
Asian
I mean.
vote going
I think
up?
people are
Nobody
waking up. People are
monitors
just tired.
that one.
I know, we're tired.
They could have brought this up years ago. This is a common argument. They could have brought this up years ago. Do you see this as election interference from the Democrats, or do you not?
Both parties are known for very long histories of election interference and doing whatever they can to sway it. Do I think this is timed? Absolutely. Of course.
I think that's what they intended it to be, but I think it's not working for them. Currently with his 58 million plus whatever donations and people out here that are just angry. Conservatives are done, and I think it's going to make people fight a lot harder.
Really
And
look
even last
angry.
night I was talking to somebody who said that at the
That
previous
chick looks like
election,
she's making
they
money.
weren't sure. They were on the line and they were like,
Or
yeah,
maybe
he's
it's
done
the
a lot
guy
of
with
things
the
I don't
purple.
agree with, but he's still a pretty good president. I don't know if I want to vote for him again. And now she's sold on him.
Really?
And I think that's happening for a lot of people is they're looking at this and they're saying, what are they trying to hide? Like, who do they want to stop? And is he a person I want to vote for? And so I see that happening a lot more now.
Because why didn't they, like I said, why didn't they do it 7 years ago? Because the problem is as soon as Trump decided that he's going to run again, that's when all these charges from election interference, from the documents at Mar-a-Lago, the Georgia trials, all these things came in. All these things came in at that time.
Can you imagine
Had
like,
he
I
not
ran for
decided?
president and like they dug into my background? Well, he apparently smokes weed all the time. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I'd be part of the Libertarian Party. And the Democrats would vote for me too because they're like, oh, he's probably going to legalize weed. And the Republicans would be like, well, we don't know if we should legalize weed. And I'd be like, tell you what, 12% tax on all marijuana sold. And they'd be like, oh, that's a really good idea. And I'd be like, thank you. And vote for me. Vote for me.
To run for president, he wouldn't have been charged with anything.
It is definitely election interference. This is like third world level. Like, it's so transparent. I mean, maybe people that don't know anything don't care or don't get it, but real heritage Americans, people that have assimilated to this country, people that believe in freedom,
Oh, why'd you say
they see right
assimilate?
through this. And no matter what the propaganda and the repetition and the media keeps saying, we know what's up.
If we're going to indict him for what he did, are we going to go back and indict everybody with the Jeffrey Epstein situation
Ooh,
and Hillary
good
Clinton
question.
and everybody else that did wrong?
Well, no, those people are above the law.
Yes.
But
But in other words, don't be so naive. The bottom line, this is politics. What are the politicians we pay them for?
is that a bad thing that this is politics, therefore political
The point I
lawfare?
was trying to make was that when you're in office, what do the politicians do in Washington? All they do is investigate. When Trump wait till he comes in this time, he's going to have a slew of all these people he's going to go after.
Why did we not convict Biden on his
He's
document scandal and everything? Oh, because he's too old.
I don't know what that will look like necessarily, but if they're going to start targeting people and pulling different things out and having these sham trials, those are going to eventually turn against them.
When it comes to putting the shoe on the other foot, do you think that, I know this is kind of cliche, but do you think that Democrats would be happy about, let's say, Joe Biden being prosecuted and the judge donated to Donald Trump saying MAGA forever, let's get him, and then also the DA ran on getting Joe Biden and the judge's daughter using the trial to raise money for Democrats?
Well,
do you think
if they did
Democrats
happen
would be
per se.
okay with that, or do you think they would think it was biased?
Yeah, probably. There's always bias. In other words, we have 932 federal judges, okay? So what does really our vote mean? You go to a federal judge, he's appointed. We all know there's certain district courts that are conservative. You want something done, you go to a conservative. You have a liberal type of thing, you go to a liberal judge, the Ninth Circuit. I forget which was which.
Do you think they should have picked a different district that was more down the middle instead of a 90% Democratic district?
It was a tough call because in New York, I would venture to say that on the one hand, they had two lawyers that probably, scrutinized all the facts, and on the other hand, New York probably 70% were against Trump to start with when you
The
pick.
70% would have been an improvement on the 85 or 90% district.
I hear you.
Honestly, I think that now that it's over, at least until the sentencing portion, they're going to start seeing more turnouts like this. And I think it's going to send a message.
I live here in America 29 years ago.
Good job.
And I am proud America. I'm Latina, Hispanic, proud American, and I love this man. Okay? He is the only guy for make this country safe. Because Biden, no. Nobody. Democrats, no.
Yeah.
Evils. Back in the 1980s, my dad was a Republican. His best friend was a Democrat. His best friend was a political cartoonist for the LA Times. The two of them were best friends.
Right.
And they could communicate, they could talk. They would
That's not
both
allowed
of them
these
would
days.
be so ashamed to see what's happening now.
Things have slightly changed, that's for sure.
We're all fatigued. We're overloaded. We're being bombarded
Yeah.
with nonstop attacks on America.
Donald Trump is the next president of America, and I'm Peruvian Latina, proud of my presidente. I love Donald Trump. I'm from
All right.
Peru, proud America. I'm here, I'm working hard. And I
All right.
never ask for
Well, I'm
nothing
drinking
free
with this
because
lady.
I'm proud America.
You see the polls.
Donald Trump presidente.
Those polls are fake, remember?
2024.
All right, everyone, that is it for today. So there ended up being a little Trump rally here today.
Little Latinas for Trump. Yo, bet you she can party. She can probably throw down a bottle of tequila faster than I can throw down a bottle of whiskey. We should try. Call me. So anyway, since we're talking about criminals that are getting away with shit, not named Trump, because Trump doesn't get away with it because, well, he's Donald Trump. Now, what happens if you're like a Jeffrey Epstein type motherfucking faggot and you want to traffic people, kids, women, boys, whatever? We all know the diddler didn't care.
Where is Diddy? The embattled rapper last seen in Miami is MIA after bombshell expose. Miami
Done.
Herald. Blood threats and tears inside Diddy's nightmare workplace. Notorious B.I.G.'s mom. Okay, this is Rolling Stone.
Oh, shit.
I want to slap the daylights out of Sean Combs. Diddy's missing daughter's graduation amid grand jury news. Diddy allegedly stalked J-Lo after breakup. Okay,
Whoa.
federal grand jury to hear from Diddy's accusers. Eyewitness claimed Diddy allegedly beat college girlfriend with a belt in front of other students. John Legend says he's horrified. I mean, all these stories you're looking at. Diddy,
John
10
Legend.
takeaways from our 6-month investigation. 7 most shocking claims from the... Go to the Rolling Stone one, by the way, Rob, if you can. 7 most shocking claims from the Rolling Stone expose on Diddy Combs. It was such a long expose that the only person at this table that read it was Tom Ellsworth. That's how long it was.
Oh, wow.
Okay? Tom actually read the whole thing. And Tom, I'm going to come to you right after I read this. So the 7 shocking truths from the Rolling Stone expose. Diddy's abuse allegedly dates back to college. I just told you the story about him. His violent behavior reportedly started at Howard University. Multiple women recalled signs of a controlling and abusive personality. One former student claimed Diddy caressed her back without warning, prompting her to avoid him. Another said he flew off the handle when called out for cutting the cafeteria line. An eyewitness described Diddy beating his girlfriend with a belt, saying he screamed and hollered and acted a stone fool until she came downstairs. He whooped her butt, like really whooped her butt. Number 2, Sister Soldier allegedly warned Joy Dickerson Neal about Diddy. Diddy allegedly attacked a woman in his own Bad Boy office. Kirk Burroughs,
weird because I
co-founder of Bad
feel
Boy.
like he would do something like that because, one, they're women and he's obviously inferior. But if a dude tried to jump in, fuck his ass up, his whole 30-man entourage would jump him because that's pretty fair, right? You beat a woman, but then your entourage beats up somebody that's trying to protect a woman. It's the way it works. And it's okay because he's got money, right? And how much did he really have on all these rich motherfucking Hollywood elites?
And other witnesses claimed that had heard tear Combs off a woman during an assault in 1994. Felicia Newsom, a former manager, recounted holding Diddy back from beating this girl's ass during another altercation. Former intern April Lampros also accused Diddy of sexually assaulting, claiming he forced her to perform oral sex and drugged her. 4, Diddy slighted Biggie Smalls on a posthumous Rolling Stone cover. Check this out. After the Notorious Biggie's death, Diddy allegedly prioritized his own debut album over Biggie for a Rolling Stone cover. Now that's dirty right there. Kirk Burroughs recalled suggesting Biggie for the cover,
He
but
used
Diddy
Biggie
insisted,
to make more
no,
money.
he's dead. I'm putting out Combs' debut album, No Way Out, in July. I need to be on the cover of Rolling Stone. Diddy later acknowledged Biggie's death boosted his album sales, saying at least 2 million of the 5 million copies No Way Out sold were due to his death. 5. Diddy allegedly broke a chair over the late music exec's head for dating his ex, Kim Porter. Diddy's former private chef, allegedly he requested a post-coital, what is that, Tom? Meal
post-coital, after sex.
After sex.
Meal and greeted her naked. Diddy was allegedly jealous of Tupac
weird
and Biggie's.
when you think about Diddy and him being, an abuser that also had, gay sex. You know who else is really pretty rich and famous and is a black guy who's also linked to gay sex? Because apparently he's married to a man anyway. Barack and Michael Obama.
Relationship.
Fucking guy.
Look at
man.
that outfit. Look at that outfit. Look at that outfit.
Diddy
Says a lot.
Diddy
Says
was
a lot.
reportedly jealous of the friendship between the Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac Shakur. Photographer Monique Bund claimed Pac saw Diddy as a corny executive and had no respect for Puff. Diddy allegedly encouraged Biggie to write beefy songs, including the controversial Who Shot Ya, which escalated the East Coast-West Coast rivalry. Diddy denied offering $1 million to kill Tupac despite claims from former Crip Dwayne Keith Davis.
I'm just going to be real quick. There was a song back in the day by the Lox that called Money, Power, Respect, Street Love, Money, Power, Respect, Money, Power, Respect. He got the money, he got the power, he got the respect, and he developed basically a Messiah-like, God-like complex. And he thought that he was untouchable. Can't do anything. He's a billionaire. I want to say he might be the first black hip-hop
Jay-Z.
billionaire. Was it Jay-Z or
Jay-Z.
him?
Jay-Z.
Right there,
It's gotta be
neck and neck.
Jay-Z.
But Jay-Z actually has none of these stories coming out. Dre, also a billionaire,
Yeah, but
has none of these
Jay-Z's
stories
also
coming out.
tied to Epstein.
It's so funny what's happening with Diddy because this was inevitable. You know the famous poem, "The Emperor Has No Clothes On." Nobody around him told him, "Yo, bro, what are you doing?" You tell me none of his handlers, none of his friends, no one around him was like, "Bro, what is going on right now?"
It's not that nobody told him. You couldn't tell him anything.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you going to tell a guy that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars or billion? He's going to tell you to fuck
Dre
off.
was
That's who's
first?
getting in the bet. What are you going to tell
You're
a guy
right.
like that, bro? What are you going to tell him? It's not that
Right.
he didn't.
I don't know. I mean, but that's on him.
No, but
Because I know plenty of successful people, billionaire people, even PBD. They appreciate people around them that say, "Nah, man, I actually
Yeah, but
disagree."
not everybody's like
I don't-
that, bro.
Well, clearly he needed that.
Yeah.
So maybe word to the wise, if you're that person in power, have some not yes men around you.
Sometimes
What's
you
the
gotta
famous
tell
Marcus
people they're
Aurelius thing? Who
fucked
did he
up.
have walking around him at all times? The emperor of Rome. He had a slave walk behind him that did what?
You're not that special.
You're not that
You're just a
special.
human being, yeah.
PBD, Diddy didn't have that in his life.
But
That's what he did.
here's the thing though. How can you see that long list? I mean, the list of crap that he's done and he's gotten away with, and it seems to me that anybody that's a staunch supporter of the Democratic Party, rock the vote, go do this, they are protected, and he's literally can literally get away with murder. And you
I'll
heard
remember the 90s, that fucking rock the vote, early 2000s. Now that, I wasn't really, politics. I just hated the government. But now I realize that's probably what the big push to make everybody super liberal. That's how it started, in my opinion, because 9/11 really, that wasn't really a real election.
Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes goes like this. Matt, what, Adam? It seems to me like Democrats.
I would hardly.
If that was a Republican, if he voted for Trump, if he came out,
I'm going to hear you.
Okay, hold on. If he came out,
I'm going to say one thing and continue.
Go.
I would hardly make this political.
Why
and
not?
I would hardly say that he's getting away with anything. His life is ruined.
No, really? But is he in jail yet? Has he been
Is he
arrested?
in jail? Did he lose money?
But this is not exactly a good look.
My
for
point
Diddy.
is, are you ready for this? If he was a Trump supporter,
They'd be done.
he'd be in fucking jail. Sorry for my language, I had to. He'd be in jail 5 years ago. Let's not play that game. And Matt Barnes, Pat, what did he say over there? Where are her teammates? Where are the coaches? All those girls that have been abused and had their asses beat and everything, that raped. Where are the fathers? Where are the friends and the family?
Yeah, I don't think the Rock the
if
Vote
one of your
campaign
daughters, if that was
really
your daughter
cared
getting
about
dragged
it
in that
at that
hotel,
point.
what would you have done?
That guy'd be dead.
You're going to jail. I'm going to jail. Where are all these people, these family members just sitting there going, man, I wish they really catch Diddy. Bullshit. Where are you guys at?
Well, you don't-
And it is political, Adam, to me, because it seems to me one side literally does whatever the hell they want. But if you, like from Menendez, from the guy from Jersey, from all these people,
Rules for
but if
thee
you
and
are a
not for me,
Republican,
remember?
if you vote for Trump, jail. Straight to jail.
I don't follow hip hop, and I
What?
Hold on. Breaking news, guys. What?
Get it?
hang on. I
Oh
don't
shit,
follow
he doesn't
hip-hop,
follow hip-hop.
and I'm generally aware of the personalities and the music that goes with it. But when all this broke, and when the Rolling Stone article came out, I read it out of just maybe an interest in conspiracy and crime,
curiosity.
And what I noticed. I start looking at the things. Everybody's screaming about this, screaming about that, screaming about East-West, screaming about did he have a finger on the trigger of what happened with Tupac or and all the things that go with that. And something jumped out to me, facts, and I noticed that Rolling Stone said they started their investigation, their 6th month's story that ended up in this huge article
Rolling
with
Stone, really?
facts. Talked to this person, they said this. Everything they put in there, they
Not
were
journalism.
attributing it, not an opinion. So they started doing this December, and I said, wait a minute. The Diddy raid in L.A. was March 25th. I went back and looked it up. And that was from the cops. You know what it tells me? Something happened toward the end of last year. Maybe it's an accumulation of things. And Rolling Stone starts investigating, and the feds start investigating, and then they get the raid on March 25th. The plane flies empty. What was in there? Empty of people. But remember, his plane went down to Florida.
Yep.
Diddy met it at Opelika, was pacing around down there. People
Really?
were watching him. Something's going down, and I'm waiting for the flower of justice to bloom and show it what it is. Because Rolling Stone was working on this for 6 months, and in the middle of that, before the story's even published, after they've got interviews, the feds on March 25th do the raid. Something bigger is below the surface here, and I want to see it.
What that's very, and you told me that yesterday, which was very interesting. So anytime someone's doing an expose on you, you'll generally know. It's not a surprise when it comes out. Because an expose, in order to be a proper expose, it means you're doing what? Calling around and asking others.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what happens when you call around and ask others to want to throw you under the bus? 1 or 2 people are not going to play games, right? They're going to be like, no, I'm not with it. And those people who you try to get expose, who you try to get things from, who are they going to call?
The source.
They're
Yeah.
going to call you and they're going to say, hey, just want to let you know these guys are writing something on you. Be ready for it. Hey,
big,
just want to let you
man.
know these
There's a
guys
lot
are
of
writing
calls.
something on you. Be ready for it. Hey, just be. So I guarantee you, not only did Rolling Stone probably call the people that they were calling around, called Diddy, and Diddy knew that expose was coming out. You know who else knew? The Fed knew. The Fed and all the people that decided to go after him did not want this to come out after.
Yeah.
And then they didn't do anything because they would look like idiots. Okay. So these guys said, listen, we better go out there and take this guy out now to show strength before Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone cannot come before us. We have to come before Rolling Stone. Anyways, the way you broke that down when you said the 6 months and 2 months tells me maybe even Rolling Stone pushed the feds to go and raid his house. Maybe.
Or Rolling Stone heard that the feds were onto this and started writing their bigger
It could
story.
be both.
Could be
and
both.
the feds were
I agree.
sniffing around, and Rolling Stone
Or they
found
just
it.
told Rolling
Pete
Stone.
Travers was always a really well-connected guy at Rolling Stone. Jan Winter was always really well-connected.
Yeah.
And so it's very, very interesting, the stuff that comes out.
Tom, I got to give you credit, man. You might not know hip hop, but you know the music industry. You know what's going on here. You're from the streets.
Tom doesn't play games. He ran track.
Tom's from Compton.
Have you seen Tom's
Straight
calves?
Tom's calves are ridiculous.
But speaking of fellow hip
Straight out of
hoppers,
Northridge, man.
That's right. Allegedly, Kanye went on that rant in the Drink Champs, and he basically said, "Because he's a fucking Fed."
Yeah.
He basically accused Diddy of being a Fed. So we're talking about this Feds here. I don't know what's going on here, but legit, the best point that you made on Diddy
Kanye
is
might be onto
what's going to
something.
happen with this slow drip. Another month from now. Yeah. Another month from now. What's going to come
I
out?
mean, we
weeks
know
from now?
Epstein
What's going to
was
come
a
out?
Fed, or
So
a-
let's see what happens here with Diddy. But you're absolutely right. When the feds broke into Miami and LA the
on
same
it.
day that was in March, what's happened? The Cassie tape just came out. What other tapes are out
Yeah,
there?
how do you-
The one lady said that there's a $500 million payment for tapes. Remember we played that a few weeks ago?
Yep.
Let's see what happens here.
Yep. Well, it's no good.
So if you're an angry patriot yourself, Vinny officially has the angry.
All right. Now from a younger political analyst to one of the older ones who no one wanted to listen to. Now look at us. And just like I thought about the other day with the announcement of Donald Trump's conviction, that, what else is happening? And then I noticed earlier that day that Joe Biden approved that, hey, Ukraine, you know what? Go ahead and use our weapons to do strikes inside Russia now. We support that. Oh, we're supposed to be neutral, right? That's pretty much letting the world know. Yeah. We've been stockpiling over there, and we got you. We got you, motherfuckers. Ukraine, instead of lasting 5 minutes, now has a chance of lasting 35 minutes if an invasion does happen.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Liberty Report. With us today, we have Daniel McAdams, our co-host. Daniel, good to see you this morning.
Good morning, Dr. Paul. How are you this morning?
You have any good news today? Are we going to look for good news?
Yeah.
Or are we going to keep telling you the truth that it's not all good news?
I don't think we have a good news story today.
Every once in a while we find something. Trends are what we're looking for. At least improve a little bit, pick up a little action, even though the real results aren't going to be on the horizon yet. But we're going to talk about this perpetual war going on and this insanity of the obsession with trying to get a big hot war going on in Europe.
Yeah.
And it's sort of bewildering, how they can get away with it. You take a little so-called country that amounts to not a whole lot, Ukraine, and all of a sudden it turns into the centerpiece of, some people would claim, the centerpiece of the next world war going on. And the ducks are lining up. I can't believe that they have, the Europeans, were very reluctant. They were holding back. And of course, they don't put up as much money. But they must have been tempted by something that we, through NATO, offered them, because there's at least 11 or 12 countries that are in Eastern Europe and in Europe that are quite ready to expand the war. And the issue, of course, is striking Russia. All of a sudden, Russia is the most, I shouldn't say all of a sudden, traditionally so. Well, we have to have an enemy in Russia we can attack. And of course, every time this is mentioned by the media, they always preface it by saying, this whole thing started when Russia invaded Ukraine. Well, Russia went into Ukraine reclaiming some territory they believe was their own and could have been a border dispute, but they went ahead and responded to what NATO was doing. NATO was bending the rules and the promises they made over the last several decades, even since the Cold War was over, that we would just leave the Russians alone and they were going to give up certain things, but that didn't happen. I think that NATO was serious and the West was serious, but once they started moving their missiles and their targets and building up their coalition and building more weapons than ever, and then actively participating in the Ukraine war and the killing that's going on there.
That would be insane. If the axis of evil, if we did do World War III, which the winner of the history will call it, would be China, Russia, and Iran. The new axis of evil. And throw in North Korea just for shits and giggles. I'm pretty sure they all have nuclear. Oh.
And they do this, and they do it with a lot of killing and all, and they're still want you to avoid thinking, well, this is involving too many countries. It's going to expand, and that has been our warning generally. Is this going to escalate? And I guess what we're going to talk a little bit about today about the significance. Right now, most of the news is about politics in the states, and the election coming up, and people getting tried for crazy reasons. We have the Trump trial going on, and then the Hunter than the Hunter trial, which is a whitewash too. But that's getting a lot of attention now, and I don't imagine the majors are talking much about the danger of what NATO is doing. But I think that's one of our responsibilities, to try to show that the people in this country ought to wake up. And I'm always arguing the case, there's no reason why we can't stop some of these wars with a little bit of common sense, rather than waiting like 20 years after Afghanistan. Oh, we're not at war, we're not at war. We kill people, we give them weapons, and we do all these things. But that's not war. I don't know how their description of war is, but it smells like war to me.
It's just a
Yeah, I mean, the fundamental aspect of this conflict between Russia and Ukraine is that Russia views it as an existential threat to its existence, having NATO on its borders. It views it as an existential threat. Whereas Russia's conflict with Ukraine, Russia's invasion, if you will, of Ukraine, is not an existential threat to the United States. It doesn't matter.
I remember
who
it
runs
was
Ukraine
for 3
fundamentally.
regions in Ukraine that were like, hey, we want to go back and be part of Russia. We voted, matter of fact. But now the votes in those 3 areas, now that can't be true. Those were rigged elections, because Russia likes to rig elections.
To the United States, it doesn't matter to the Europeans who runs Ukraine in a fundamental way. So all of this is about an issue that really doesn't matter that much to the U.S. But they say, they started out by saying, well, there's a democracy. If we don't defend democracies, we'll be ruled by tyrants. And then Zelensky canceled elections. He canceled all of the opposition parties. He shut down all the opposition media. He shut down the churches. So they couldn't talk about democracy anymore. So they're looking for other things to do. And they continue to escalate. And that's why it's so important to put up this first article. And this is a pattern of things that have been going on over the past week. Now, this just happens to be from Zero Hedge. Netherlands joins Denmark in saying Ukraine can use F-16s to strike inside of Russia.
Where did it get these F-16s from? Just curious. Where did they get them? Hopefully they made them themselves. That'd be great for their economy.
So now you have 2 countries in the EU saying to Ukraine, we're going to give you F-16s.
Okay.
And hey, if you want to go and fight and strike inside of pre-2014 Russia, that's just fine.
Hey, if these things have been in service for a while and they're made by Boeing, we may be fucked.
Obviously, that's not going to be very popular with Russia or with its president. Go to the next one. This is from the article. So President Putin has warned of serious consequences after the Kremlin previously warned that NATO bases from which these jets are deployed could come under attack. But on Friday, NATO Secretary General Jens
Love
Stoltenberg.
how we all have our little sarcastic fucking voice when we're reading stuff. It's great. His is just a little bit off, but it's there. It's there.
Stoltenberg shrugged off Moscow's warnings by saying,
Yeti, I almost bought another one this past weekend. I don't know why I didn't, but probably because I'm looking for something better.
This is nothing new. It's been a case for a long time. Every time NATO allies are providing support to Ukraine, President Putin is trying to threaten us to not do it. And an escalation, well, Russia has escalated by invading another country. That's his response. It's no big deal. He's always saying that, he's always complaining, but it doesn't matter.
There's a serious factor here, because these planes are pretty capable of carrying big bombs.
Yeah, nuclear weapons.
Nuclear weapons. And the Dutch foreign minister said, trying to justify this, he said, if you have the right to self-defense, and who doesn't have the right to self-defense? We believe in that. But he said, if you do have the right, there are no borders for the use of weapons. So they can go anywhere they want, and they use the term self-defense, which is just a little bit of lying propaganda is what they're doing to justify this. But the steady movement in that direction and the support building for NATO, I thought, like 6 months, a year ago, NATO wasn't gaining on credibility, but right now it looks like the Europeans think, well, we better get with NATO. We want them to take care of us, and of course they talk about drafts and everything else. But the American people should wake up and say, who pays for these wars?
Yeah.
Who ends up doing it? So, oh yeah, but we're not going to have boots on the ground. Well, we have the
Bullshit.
boots on the
Listen,
ground. We just
motherfucker.
changed the color of
The
the
fact
boots.
of saying we won't have boots on the ground is horseshit because there have been numerous rotational deployments, deployment in quotation marks, from the U.S. Army on Eastern European fronts. Poland, who else had they been over there? Fuck, man, I drew a blank because I know they're Romania and all those places. There's always a rotational unit, just like we would do if we were deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan or any of these countries. Like, hey, we think they might kick off, so let's gonna have a rotational deployment. But you guys don't know about that. So if something did happen, we've already got units there with equipment, and all they need is ammo, which is very, very close.
Boots, and we participate in it, and we train the pilots and give them the airplanes, and the whole works, and that's why we have a tremendous. There would be, how much do you think there would be? I think I know your answer. How much would be there if we were totally neutral on there? I mean, what would be going on with Ukraine? Your opening statement made that point. You know, what is the big issue for us? But right now, every single day, it's a bigger issue.
Speaking of deployments to Europe, so one of the battalions brigades that deployed over here to Europe, especially Romania and all them, somehow all came back early after testing positive for AIDS. Ouch. What kind of idiot raw dogs? You know, hookers. What kind of idiot? Stupid motherfuckers. That's the kind of people we have in the military today. Weak, stupid, beta faggots.
And this is significant.
Yeah, and even if everything the other side says about what Russia did to Ukraine is true, which is not, but if one day Putin got up and said, you know what, Russia, the largest country on earth, isn't quite large enough. We need to get bigger, so let's invade Ukraine and take it over. Even if that were true, it would still not mean a thing to the United States and certainly would not be risking a nuclear war over. If Russia ran Ukraine, it doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter to the U.S. But do you have these escalations now? You have the, as we talked about before, the saying F-16s can be used to strike inside Russia. Also, apparently, according to Antony Blinken, the Biden White House has lifted restrictions on using weapons, longer range missiles on Russian territory, on pre-2014 Russian territory. I don't believe they're going to let them use the ATACMS yet. However, the HIMARS and the others have already been. They've gone into Belgorod yesterday, the U.S. HIMARS. So they're allowing those attacks inside Russia. And go to the next one. And now here's the other escalation. This is a three-part escalation this past week. NATO country sends Air Force instructor to Ukraine ahead of F-16 arrival. So a NATO country, this being the Greeks,
any NATO
the Greeks have sent the first foreign flight instructor deployed to Ukraine. Zero Hedge says this means that for the first time, a NATO instructor has arrived in Kiev as part of preparations to receive F-16s from NATO allies and deploy Ukrainian pilots, the first publicly disclosed instance at least. So now you're seeing, I mean, we talked about, I think you wrote a couple weeks ago about Vietnamization. You're seeing now the trainers are literally now in Kiev. Here's the first.
But, you know, I think they're a little bit too complacent about saying, yeah, Russia's, you know, speaking out and they're threatening us because we're.
One of the things, I think it was the Istanbul, I'll look it up in a minute, that NATO agreed that they would not move any further east of where they are right now. And if they did, it goes against that treaty. Well, They just broke it when they sent a trainer for these F-16 airplanes. You know, that's it. Done. Finito. World War III.
We're going to be tough with them. And Stoltenberg from NATO said, made mention of this. On Friday, when the Secretary General Stoltenberg, he shrugged his shoulders and said, and the warnings by saying, this is nothing new. It has been the case for a long time. And every time NATO allies are providing support to Ukraine, Putin is trying to threaten us not to do that. And one of these days, you know, it might be over the top, and maybe Russia is. Because I think people who are honest with themselves, and there are people in this country now that realize that of all the groups of country there, Russia is the biggest. The NATO's only big because we're NATO, and we have the weapons, and we have the incentive of making a lot of money over this whole deal. So, but I think NATO saying don't sweat it. The Russians won't do it. They're not that tough, and because look, we've done certain things and they never retaliate and that sort of thing. So we'll see.
I mean, that's exactly it. You know, and Caitlin Johnson has a good piece out. I have it on the ronpaulinstitute.org website today, and she says, you know, that the real danger is not that Biden is going to say, you know what, let's have a nuclear war. But the real danger, and this is the truth, is a miscalculation. The U.S., the NATO side, they are so sure of themselves. Well, we're sure that Russia is going to back down once again. But what if they don't? It's a miscalculation that is the big danger. And in fact, if you go ahead, skip the next one and go to the, on Monday, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister. So this is from antiwar.com. And this is a very clear warning. This is Sergei Rybakov, and he warned the U.S. that they need to listen to what Putin is saying about allowing Ukraine to strike in Russian territory. And this is Rybakov, the Deputy Foreign Minister. So I would like to caution American officials against miscalculations, which may have
no, they're just waiting
fatal
to provoke, Yeti. We both know that. They're just waiting to be that one poke of the bear. There's one poke too many.
Consequences. For some unknown reason, they underestimate the seriousness of the rebuff they may receive. And then he went on by saying, I'm urging these officials who seemingly are not bothered by anything to take some time away from playing computer games, which is apparently what they are doing, given their light-hearted approach to serious issues, and take a closer look at what Putin said, particularly at a press conference following the talks in Tashkent. He added, referring to a warning Putin issued during a recent visit to Uzbekistan. So he's saying, you guys aren't taking us seriously. It's a big problem. You need to start doing so. It's a very clear warning.
You know, and they've threatened to do it, and they haven't done the big one, but they're capable of doing it. But you know, I was thinking about what have we as a country done in this century, in the last 24 years. We've been involved in a lot of wars, and I was thinking, I wonder how many countries we struck with a bomb.
Oh yeah,
over all this time, and they're talking about, well, Russia, they don't have the right to do that. They're monsters, and we have to handle that. But if people say, well, you're un-American if you're pointing out that maybe we're making an error in all the bombs that we drop. Well, you know, when this
exact opposite. You are an American when you question the motives of your country, when we have no political, economical gain from this. I mean, our politicians do, but we as an American country, we don't. The only thing we get out of this is trillions more debt. And most likely more more unnecessary loss of American lives. Because, you know, the military, we're just expendable. We're a dime a dozen. Only 1% of the American population serves, and it's getting weaker. And obviously, they're not making their goals.
When our empire collapses, our defensive collapses, our financial system collapses, they will say, how did this all happen? Well, it shouldn't surprise a lot of people. More people are starting to be aware of the significant economic consequences, and the more likely there is a hot war, the greater will be the threat against our civil liberties at home. Because what do they talk about?
Yeah.
We need a draft, this sort of thing. We need price controls. The whole works comes with it.
Well, speaking of civil liberties violations, I don't know if you saw this, but Scott Ritter, who's spoken at our conference, he was on a plane. He was going to go to speak at a conference in Russia, and the plane was boarded. They took the Customs and Border people took him off the plane, and they said, "What are you doing?" They said, "The State Department told us to do this," and they took his passport. We still don't know. I think he's going to be on the judge's show today at noon. We still don't know what the reasoning is. So, yeah, civil liberties are being curtailed. But you know, the thing about these escalations are this you can shoot inside Russia. We've been covering this for 2 years, and at every point there's been a new wonder weapon. Oh, as soon as we send the javelins, they're going to win. Oh, no one's talking about javelins anymore. And remember, release the Leopards. As soon as the Ukrainians get some Leopard tanks, they're going to win. No one's talking about Leopard tanks anymore. So as every one of the wonder weapons fails, they come up with a new one. And now it was F-16s before, but they haven't appeared. And now it's striking inside of Russia. If only we let them do this, they'll win. You know, this is the sort of the rationale.
Yes, but excuse me, but there's a lot of people in our Congress and different places that want to celebrate and praise.
It's like Texas, right? Decided, you know what? I don't like Delaware. I'm gonna go take Delaware. That's kind of fair fight it would be.
Yeah.
So what are they doing? You know, they have. Well, no, it's they'll. You know, they brought him to the Congress, and that is always so disgusting for me. You know that they bring and they're supporting. Of course, we're spending all that money on them. What else can they do? But it still baffles me on why they do these things, because they end up so badly. And they keep doing the same thing over and over again. But they think that we can fight. I think what they think about is we can have a cleaner war.
Yeah.
Americans won't be killed, and we'll make some money on the side, and we'll bring about peace in the meantime. The peace will break out if we show them our strength. But
Joseph R. Biden.
But some of them, and there's a few in our Senate that are so hawkish about how strong we have to be to penalize people. So you can imagine, if they have more control. So forward policy, is not a one-party deal. You have the hawks on both sides, and that bipartisanship. Beware.
Beware. Beware. Well, I got a couple of tweets to kind of punctuate what we're trying to say here. If you could put this first one up. Now, David Sachs is an entrepreneur and I think a very astute observer of the scene. He wrote a couple of days ago, and this is interesting, and I think you'll relate to this, Dr. Paul. David Sachs wrote, "Never once during the Cold War would we have dreamed of striking Russia on its own soil, even through a proxy." And then he said, "I'll take a convicted felon over World War III any day." To which Senator J.D. Vance responded, and he said, "I just spoke to a friend and I trust what's going on. I just spoke to a friend who I trust on what's going on in Russia. I think the risk of nuclear war is higher now than at any point in my lifetime.
I don't know about the
Biden
nuclear
is
war
sleepwalking
part, to
us
be
into World War III." And the next one is from our good friend Colonel Doug McGregor. If you can put that next tweet up. Now, he's got an incredible tweet, and I've abbreviated it here. I would urge people to take a look at the full tweet. But he says NATO is now planning to get U.S. troops to the front line to fight Russia. What are they thinking? NATO has disclosed its preparation to deploy American troops to the European front lines in the event of a full-scale conflict with Russia. They're ready to move these troops up to the border with Russia. Basically, everything that Russia was complaining about, moving your troops up to our border, they say, yeah, we're going to do that.
If we have a big but a big attack on us like 9/11, that they ought to be reminded that the answer to the question of why did they do that?
And,
maybe it's because we're over there bombing these people.
We have to we have to cancel the election because it would be unsafe. Yeah, so no election this year, guys, unless you want to do mail-in voting. We support that because we think it's the biggest and bestest and fair way. And guess what? Even Donald Trump mentioned that it might be a good thing. Kind of weird.
And they decide that they're going to retaliate. But the whole thing is this blindness when they talk about patriotism. There's nothing wrong with patriotism, but if patriotism means that you ignore everything a country does, especially annoyed by some of the bad things they're doing, and if you speak out, then you're unpatriotic.
Yeah.
And if you don't accept every war, you hate the troops, you know, and troops have to be taken care of. Yes,
Wait.
we'd like to take care of them.
If you hate war, but that means you don't support the troops? I get what he's getting at, because that's pretty much true what happens. Maybe it's our way of thinking that, like, that means you like the troops. You don't want them over there at war. I mean, that would be being liking the troops. Not, we're going to send you to a foreign land. You may come back, you may not. Thank you for your service.
Just think if the libertarians had been in charge of a non-intervention foreign policy in this century, how many less people would have died?
Yeah.
How much wealthier the world would be, and how calmer it would be. But they would say, "Oh no, Russia would own the world."
Yeah. Well, here's the whole kicker, I think, on this, Dr. Paul, because we're talking about we've got to allow strikes deep in Russia. We've got to get those F-16s. We've got to allow them to shoot inside Russia. Well, here's the thing. Even if that's the case, even the pro-war hawks admit, now put on this next clip. This is from CNN. They love this war, like they love all wars.
Yeah, we know.
If you put the next clip on. Even with all this, here's an article that came out recently. The U.S. allows Ukraine to use its weapons to strike inside Russia, and I highlighted this part. But it's unlikely to be a game changer.
Of course,
so even the Hawks. Now,
dumb.
put it up. Now, this is the guy.
Right? Because most of their fucking weapons came from us. How's that not a game changer? Fucking CNN, man. Pretty sure Fox News is trying to caveat off this too. Yeah. Well, it won't be a game changer because they won't do it. Because they know that would start World War III. But, when we're whispering in Zelensky's ear, who suddenly is a dictator because he wants to cancel the elections, hey, we got your back, buddy. We got you. Pull the trigger. Pull the trigger. Do it.
Institute for the Study of War. I think it's a woman, Katerina. Institute for the Study of War. They love this war. They're all neocons. It's Victoria Nuland's sister-in-law and brother-in-law, they're running the show. Even they say it's not a game changer. Katerina Stepanenko, an analyst for the Institute for the Study of War, told CNN the policy change will blunt Russia's offensive in Kharkov, but still preserves the majority of Russia's sanctuary space. And here's what she said.
Wait,
the policy
sanctuary
still
cities?
protects Russia's operational and deep rear sufficiently that this change near Kharkov Oblast is insufficient to bring about a turning point in the war. So people should take a deep breath and think about that. We are on the brink of nuclear war with Russia over a policy that, even if it were put into place, would not change the outcome of this war. If that's not insanity, I don't know what is.
I in my opening statement, I mentioned the fact that the quote from the defense minister, Dutch foreign minister, he says, if you have the right of self-defense, which we all agree to, there are no borders for the use of weapons. So what if you flip it a little bit and say, well, what does that mean? Does that apply to Russia?
Yeah.
How many more nukes? If they can have all these F-16s over there and they start buzzing places and all,
right,
when would Russia be given at least not a sympathy as much as just an understanding, And but we use it we use it to say that yes, we can do anything to Russia, but what? Because that was the whole understanding after the Cold War ended, that the West would move back and they'd stay away from Russian borders, and the big move was into Ukraine with the coup in 2014. That was the big issue that precipitated this chaos, which is escalating right now. Now they're talking about a lot of planes, more countries involved with nuclear weapons as a potential weapon.
And it's crazy because it's for nothing. We don't have the USSR. We don't have global communism staring down our throats, even if you believe the threats then. It's all for nothing. So, anyway, let's move on with our theme of insanity today. Want to take a trip to New York, Dr. Paul? Well,
sure.
It's going to have a hard time getting a hotel room. Let's look at this next one. This is from Zero Hedge. It's from Mike Shedlock. 20% of New York City hotels are now migrant shelters. What do you think about that?
Oh, how did that happen? Oh, there was an invasion, and nobody would admit it. That there was an invasion,
and
they were capable because they had influence with some people in this country to throw out good people. And if we financed the if we financed these hotel rooms and all that they needed. It was a bribe.
Yeah.
The people that own the hotels say, hey, because of 9/11 and other governments.
COVID,
yeah, COVID, they were having.
Actually, I think whenever I visit New York City, I don't stay in the city. I stay a little bit further out. In Jersey, I think.
There were reasons for this, and so they had to say, well, the hotels were beginning to be too empty. And all of a sudden, there's a boom in the hotel business. Of course, the price goes up, so anybody who wants to get a hotel room can't do it. So it is one of those things that does exactly opposite, unless your goal is to have chaos. If you're interested in a little more chaos in our streets, what could be more chaotic than what's happening, on the immigration scenario, with the current president? Because that's where the real chaos is, and that's where the anger is building too. And that to me is so sad, because when we talk about what kind of relationships would countries have in a non-interventionist foreign policy, well, most of the time you can find evidence that it's much better. When it's not so aggressive and threatening and taking over and pushing around. That of course is a different story.
Yeah, I just don't know what a great strategy this is, really, because if you think about it, you're right. So the hotels were vacant. The COVID, they shut down the city, so no one's going there. So instead of doing something to make it attractive as a tourist destination, they're moving in migrants who've come over to the country illegally. I mean, are people really going to want to go visit the Big Apple now, knowing that the place has turned into one big migrant camp? I mean, it seems like it would be a real blow to tourism there.
Yeah, you would think so, but once again, what are the true motives? Is it stupidity, or do they have evil motives, or is it a mixture of both? You can't tell. But they don't talk about costs either, of what we're doing now, because I think most Americans are starting to think that if you're, some of them make fun, but I think there's some truth to it. If there are long lines now for services, or whether say going to the hospital or whatever service you need, that the veterans, they use that as an example, that if you're an American veteran, you might have to go to the back of the line.
Yeah.
If you're an illegal that came in, you get moved up to the front of the line, and people are supposed to smile and say, isn't it wonderful we can help people?
Oh,
but the thing of it is, I'll say, you guys don't have a
help our
heart.
own.
You don't care about, you have no humanitarian instincts. But when you look at it and list, I made a little list of the things that happens when they did that immigration and what they did to New York. And it doesn't help. It doesn't do what they said. It makes things much worse. There's a lot more costs. They ruin the schools. Prices go up in general, and the chaos continues. So this is not a solution. It's the problem. And I think what is really lacking is an understanding of what property is all about. You know, if you don't have a basic principle, and it was a very solid principle when this country was started, that people could own property, you could have a deed to it, and it was your property, and nobody just came marching in. As a matter of fact, that was one of the reasons they said that you were also allowed to own a weapon. You know, and you didn't have to have the UN police force come in to protect you. So it's this whole argument that they're doing God's work by taking care of these people, and if you're not willing to give an illegal who's just begging and pleading, you know, for a little bit of freedom, and there are probably plenty like that too, but there's other ways of achieving it, and that is a free society. You know, that's when prosperity blooms, and people didn't have these guarantees when our country was settled for the first 100 years. So people came because they knew it as an opportunity. People still come for the opportunity, but most of the opportunity, they say, is that the government will redistribute the wealth. We still have some wealth in this country. The dollar is still strong enough that we'll take care of anybody that comes in and compound it, and we'll bring an end to this system much quicker.
Yeah, and if you really care about these migrants, you should oppose U.S. foreign policy, which bombs the countries that they lived in. That's why they want to come here. We keep bombing their homes. So what a shock. Well, go to that last clip, if you will, and I'm going to close out by reminding our viewers again, and you're going to hear it a few times from me between now and then, but the Liberty Platform is...
It's always refreshing to hear that there's people that still see through the bullshit and that believe there's no benefit for any of this, for the war on Russia, for the U.S., to us to like kissing NATO's ass or cupping their balls. It depends on, you know, who's the top and bottom, because we're always getting fucked in the end, regardless. That means us as taxpayers, because none of that shit we approve of, but it's okay. Our politicians vote for it. Our politicians get richer. These former generals, like the CEOs of Boeing and Lockheed Martin, they get rich. Crazy how that works. But we don't. We don't. We just get poorer and poorer, and we just keep, you know, not saying anything, not voicing our opinion, just laying down and taking it. Or, you know, have your voice heard. Elections are coming up. Vote for a convicted felon, because this is the only time I'll probably ever say this in history. That man might be what the world needs. Right? As fucked up as it sounds, as bad as I've been talking shit about this man since 2015, wow, it's amazing what 10 years can do. And this might be the first election I've had, well, it is. I've had in my lifetime where we've already had a first term for both, and we can compare them and decide which of these two motherfuckers deserves a second term. Because that's the way it is. It's a rematch. And we all know what happened and what might happen. This should be fun. Whether or not, you know, our pockets like it, that's a different story.
In the shadows where monsters dwell, we often fear what we do not understand. But look closer and you will see that these creatures born of darkness are not our enemies. They are reflections of our own fears, our hidden pains, and our untamed desires. Monsters are misunderstood souls, shaped by a world that turned its back on them. They carry the weight of loneliness and the scars of rejection, just as we do. Their roar is a cry for acceptance, their claws a desperate grasp for connection. We all have monsters within us, parts of ourselves we wish to hide, aspects we think unworthy, but it is in embracing these inner beasts that we find our true strength. Understand your monsters and you will understand yourself. Befriend them and they will become your guardians. Do not fear the darkness within. Instead, seek to come.
Funny, he says befriend them. Head on. I fought the demons. And I've beat them. So, either they're friends or they're being subservient to me now because nothing matters. That's not what I meant. Nothing. There's no fear. The fear of the unknown, I've already faced that. Now, can I control what my fate might be in the future? Yes. Nothing's fucking written in stone. As much as they want you to believe, because if Donald Trump becomes president, he'll be a dictator and everybody will have nothing.
Comprehend it. For in that understanding, you will discover that the greatest monster of all is the fear of facing ourselves. And once you conquer that fear, no shadow can ever dim your light. So, walk with your monsters, hand in claw, through the darkest forests and the deepest caves. Listen to their stories, for they are the echoes of your own struggles and the whispers of your untold dreams. Let their strength become your strength, their resilience your armor. Remember, the greatest heroes are not those who slay monsters, but those who transform them. Transform your fear into courage, your pain into power. Every scar they bear is a testament to survival, every growl a reminder of their will to live. In the mirror of their eyes, see the reflection of your own soul, battling for recognition and redemption. Understand that the darkness is not your enemy, but a canvas upon which you paint your resilience. The shadows are not your prison, but the proving ground of your spirit. When you embrace your monsters, you reclaim the parts of yourself that were lost to fear and rejection. You become whole, a being of both light and shadow, capable of unparalleled strength and profound empathy. So, stand tall in the presence of your inner beasts. Acknowledge their pain, honor their struggle, and together, rise above the limitations imposed by fear and misunderstanding. For it is in this union, this acceptance of all that you are, that you will find the power to conquer not just the night, but the dawn that follows. Embrace the monsters that lurk within, for they hold the keys to your deepest strengths and most profound truths. In their growls, find the echoes of your own voice calling for liberation. In their eyes, see the flames of your own spirit burning bright against the encroaching darkness. Do not seek to banish these creatures, for they are a part of you, forged in the crucible of your experiences. Instead, harness their ferocity, channel their energy, and transform their rage into a force for positive change. They are the guardians of your inner sanctum, protectors of your untamed spirit. Know that every monster carries a story, a history of battles fought and survived. They are not mere figments of horror, but symbols of endurance and defiance. Their presence is a testament to your ability to withstand the trials of life and emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Walk with pride, side by side with your monsters, through the valleys of despair and the peaks of triumph. Let them remind you that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a source of power. Through understanding and acceptance, you can transform fear into fortitude, darkness into dawn. As you journey forward, remember this: true strength lies not in the absence of shadows, but in the courage to face them. The monsters you once feared will become allies in your quest for self-discovery and empowerment. They will guide you through the labyrinth of your soul, revealing hidden paths to greatness. So, dare to embrace the monsters within. Let their misunderstood nature become a symbol of your own journey towards wholeness. In their company, find the resilience to overcome any obstacle. the wisdom to navigate life's complexities, and the courage to become the hero.
Ah, fuck it. None of y'all are listening. Y'all kiss my ass. And, well, hey, not telling you what to think. I'm just telling you how to think. Wait, not telling you how to think. I'm just telling you to think. And we know why people were here, and that's evident by how many viewers I got. So, sticking with the theme of, well, if you're smart, some of you nerds will figure out what my title actually is. But until then,
everywhere I go, I keep a gun to imagine me giving one single solitary fuck. Imagine me not doing 5 figures in a month. Wave to my haters 5 fingers, then I leave one up. Get out the way, bitch. I ain't written outs, but I pull that thing out and spray, bitch. Fuck around and you gon' find out today I don't play, bitch. I ain't changed anything but the change in my bank, bitch. Only thing that I bought was some bullets for the range. And I don't mean a rover tryna buy a tank. Ain't no limit what these motherfuckers do that hate. Ay, I don't need a click, bitch. I'm a fucking renegade. Ay, run up on the whip and it's gunplay. Ay, run up on the crib and it's Mossberg pump. Olay. Every time my voice in the track, me doing numbers like a athlete, getting money like an athlete. Rappers at me thinking that mean that they finna win, cause it's bumping like acne. Wappy, fuck out of here with lame shit. We ain't say the same shit, like a different language. They just say my name, bitch, instead of blanket statements. Game is full of fake shit, my bank is full of statements. I don't know how they do it where y'all from, but I promise you fucking with the wrong one. It's codes to the shit, codes to the shit. Lines that you don't cross and you were close to them, bitch. You don't think I pull it, bitch? You gon' fuck around and find out. Squeeze until I'm out of bullets. You gon' fuck around and find out. Better keep it cool, think it through for this blow your mind out. You don't think I do it, bitch, and you gon' fuck around and find out. You don't think I pull it, bitch? You gon' fuck around and find out. Squeeze until I'm out of bullets. You gon' fuck around and find out. Better keep it cool, think it through for this blow your mind out. You don't think I do it, bitch, and you gon' fuck around and find out. I'm the truth, bitch. What the fuck I need to lie about? Get in the booth, bitch. Eat the beat like fucking Donna. MVP, that's me. You getting cut in trials. RP, wished on me didn't think that I fucking find out. Hope you enjoyed your little time out. Time to go back to your hideout. Measy back up on his greasy. Who is he? You about to find out all over the internet. Even when a motherfucker is signed out. Signed out, I know these voters wanna pack my eye out. How ya gon' act like I ain't shit in the pot? I'll give them the whole 9. Y'all be straight to the pylon. You motherfuckers is wildin'. Trying me, don't sit there trying. I am in the league of my own, that's why these labels won't sign them. I am a monster, but God know that I don't wanna get violent, cause times that I have, I black out and don't know where the hell I am. All that I know, I ain't dying tonight, at least without fighting that iron on me at all times. Bitch, don't think that I'm lying, because you don't think I pull it, bitch. You gon' fuck around and find out. Squeeze until I'm out of bullets. You gon' fuck around and find out. Better keep it